This week's question is one almost every owner asks at some point. Why do some bed and breakfasts consistently earn 5-star reviews while others with similar rooms, similar prices, and similar locations struggle to collect them? Now that's a fair question. If you've ever watched another B&B receive glowing review after glowing review while you're wondering why your guests quietly head home without leaving any feedback, it can be frustrating. Hospitality can feel a little like trying to fold a fitted sheet. You know it should be possible because you've seen other people manage it, but somehow yours ends up looking like you've wrestled with an octopus. Here's the encouraging news. Properties that consistently earn outstanding reviews rarely do it because they have the fanciest furniture or the biggest marketing budget. They do it because they create simple systems that make guests feel cared for from the moment they book until long after they've returned home. 5-star reviews are rarely accidental. They're usually the result of lots of thoughtful moments repeated consistently. If you read your last 10 guest reviews, what single word appears most often? Take a moment to think about it and let me know in the comments. That one word often tells you more about your business than any financial report ever could. Now let's start with a simple comparison. Imagine 2 bed and breakfasts less than 10 miles apart. Both have comfortable beds. Both charge roughly the same price. Both serve freshly cooked breakfasts using local ingredients. Both are run by owners who genuinely care about their guests. On paper, they're almost identical, yet one averages 4.9 stars with hundreds of enthusiastic reviews, while the other struggles to stay above 4 stars. What's the difference? It isn't luxury, it isn't luck, and it certainly isn't that one owner works harder than the other. The difference is the experience. Guests don't review rooms, they review how those rooms make them feel. I want you to think about your own holidays. You probably don't remember the size of the wardrobe or the thread count, but you do remember the owner who greeted you by name after a long journey, the cafe owner who recommended the perfect walking trail, the homemade cake waiting for you after a rainy day. Those are the moments that stay with us because people remember emotions far longer than they remember features. And that is wonderful news for bed and breakfast owners. Large hotel chains can automate almost everything, but B&Bs can personalize almost everything, and that is your competitive advantage. Many B&B owners I've talked to believed that 5-star reviews come from grand gestures, a newly refurbished bedroom, a luxury toiletries, designer furniture, a bigger television. Those certainly have their place, but they rarely create memorable stories. Guests don't tell stories about furniture. They tell stories about people. I once spoke with one B&B owner who kept a basket of umbrellas beside the front door. Nothing unusual about that. Then one afternoon, dark clouds rolled across the valley just as the couple were heading into town. Without making a fuss, she smiled and handed them an umbrella and said, "I'd rather you borrow mine than bought one you'll never use again." That umbrella probably cost less than $10 or $20, but that simple act of kindness became the opening paragraph of a glowing 5-star review. Your guest doesn't begin reviewing you at checkout. They begin the moment they book. Imagine receiving 2 booking confirmations. The first simply says, "Booking confirmed." That's it. That's perfectly functionable and completely forgettable. Now imagine receiving the other. "We are looking forward to welcoming you next Friday. If you're celebrating something special or have any dietary requirements, simply reply to this email. We'll do everything we can to make your stay memorable." Which property already feels more welcoming? Exactly. Nothing about the room has changed. Nothing about the breakfast has changed. Only the feeling has changed. Every interaction either builds confidence or creates uncertainty. The highest rated properties usually focus somewhere else. They focus on giving guests something worth talking about. You probably started with, "You won't believe what happened." That's how memorable reviews begin. Perhaps you surprised a couple celebrating their anniversary with 2 glasses of local sparkling wine. Maybe you packed a breakfast for a guest leaving before sunrise. Perhaps you remembered a returning guest's favorite table at breakfast. None of those gestures cost very much, but each one creates a story, and stories become reviews. Guests don't expect perfection. They expect to feel cared for. The goal isn't becoming flawless. The goal is becoming consistently thoughtful. We naturally remember 2 things more than anything else: the emotional high point and how the experience ends. Behavioral psychologists call this the peak end rule. Think about your own favorite holiday. You probably remember one fantastic meal, one spectacular review, one conversation that made you smile, and then you remember saying goodbye and heading home. Everything else tends to blend together. Your guests are no different. Imagine someone enjoys 2 wonderful days at your B&B. The room is spotless, the breakfast is delicious, they sleep well, and then the checkout feels rushed. Nobody asks if they enjoyed their stay. Nobody thanks them for visiting. They quietly collect their bags and leave. That final memory colors the whole experience. Now imagine something slightly different. As they're leaving, you thank them by name. You ask them what they enjoyed most. You wish them a safe journey, and you genuinely tell them you'd love to welcome them back. That farewell only takes a minute, but it's often the moment they will remember when they sit down to write your review. People remember being remembered. Now, let me take a couple of minutes to walk through a simple 6-step system. Step 1. Start every stay with confidence. Include clear directions. Explain where to park. Confirm check-in times. Provide a mobile number if they need help. If appropriate, invite guests to let you know about their dietary requirements or special occasions. These small details quietly tell your guests, we thought about your journey before you even arrived. When guests arrive feeling relaxed, you've already taken the first step towards a memorable stay. Step 2. Make the first 5 minutes count. First impressions matter. Greet them by name. Smile. Offer help with the luggage if needed. Ask how their journey was. Step 3. Create memorable moment. What small thing could make today's guest smile? Step 4. Prevent problems before they happen. Walk through your property as though you're seeing it for the first time. Open the closets. Switch on the bedside lamp. Reconnect to the Wi-Fi. Read your welcome folder. Look for anything that might confuse or frustrate a guest. Tiny problems are easy to miss when you see them every day. A blown light bulb, an empty tissue box, a loose towel hook. Step 5. Finish every stay strongly. Step 6. Ask for reviews naturally, after you have earned it. A friendly follow-up email a day or 2 after checkout works perfectly. Don't collect reviews, they learn from them. Set aside a half hour each month and read through every review you've received. The glowing ones, the average ones, even the uncomfortable ones. Don't focus on individual opinions. Look for patterns. If several guests mention your breakfast, you've discovered one of your strengths. Keep building on it. If several people mention confusing parking instructions or difficulty finding your entrance, you've just identified your next improvement. Every review is free marketing research. Now, if today's episode has given you plenty to think about, we have created 2 free resources to help you put these ideas into practice. The first is the 5-star review action plan. It's a practical checklist that follows the complete guest journey, from the first booking confirmation through your post-stay follow-up. You can print it, add it to your operations folder, and use it during your weekly team meetings. The aim isn't perfection, it's consistency. And if you are still planning your own B&B, then you're in the early stages of building a business, I'd also like to recommend the free Your B&B Starter Blueprint. It walks you through the foundations of creating a bed and breakfast that guests love from day one, helping you avoid many of the common mistakes new owners make. You can find the links to both resources in the show notes. Now I'm going to give you a challenge for this week. Before tomorrow, choose just one stage of your guest journey, not everything, just one. Perhaps it's your booking confirmation email. Maybe it's your welcome at the front door. It could be breakfast or the checkout process. Now experience it exactly as one of your guests would. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. Does this feel welcoming? Does this feel organized? Does this feel memorable? If the answer to any of these questions is not quite, you have found your next improvement. Resist the temptation to change everything at once. Small improvements, repeated consistently, over time, those small changes create an entirely different guest experience. It is easy to think reviews are simply about attracting more bookings, and of course they help. They build trust, they improve your online visibility, they encourage more direct bookings and reduce dependence on online travel agencies. But I think reviews represent something much more important. Each review is written by someone who trusted you with part of their holiday. Perhaps it was an anniversary, a birthday, a family reunion, or simply a well-earned break after a busy year. When guests leave a glowing review, they're often saying something much deeper than, "The room was clean." They're saying, "You helped me make this part of our lives special." And that's something every bed and breakfast owner should be incredibly proud of. So here are your key takeaways from this episode. Reviews begin long before the guests arrive. Guests remember feelings more than facilities. Small, thoughtful moments create memorable stories. Consistency beats perfection every time. Great systems help create great guest experiences. This is what I'd like you to take away from today's episode. 5-star reviews are built through consistency, not coincidence. They aren't reserved for luxury hotels with enormous budgets. They're earned every day by bed and breakfast owners who genuinely care about their guests and create thoughtful experiences from beginning to end. The warm welcome, the comfortable night's sleep, a breakfast prepared with pride, a genuine conversation, a sincere goodbye. Individually, none of these moments seem extraordinary, but together, they create an experience guests will remember long after they've unpacked at home. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you check out today's free downloads. You can find them in the show notes.